Chapter 20. Up until then, Yudhir had been nothing more than one of the cavalry members, a gloomy and inscrutable figure, albeit a powerful one. However, after that incident, he began to be recognized as someone reliable, someone who could step forward on their behalf in times of crisis. In a group of 300 people, all too busy adapting to worry about ranks, a figure emerged whom they thought would be suitable to tactily take the role of a leader. With Commander Kishir ardently siding with the non noble cavalry members, their training mindset had become significantly more comfortable, and their sense of camaraderie grew exponentially as they found some spare time. Before, they had only been friendly with their roommates or colleagues they got along with well. But 2 days ago, they began to freely interact with one another. Even if they didn't know each other's faces or names well, as long as they belonged to the cavalry, that was proof. Gender or previous social status no longer mattered. Underneath their identical black uniforms, they were all equals. Yudhir wasn't aware that the cavalry members had begun to think this way, but he did notice a change in the way they looked at him. It was the first time he had seen a sense of equal camaraderie in the faces of the cavalry members looking at him, not a competitive spirit towards a strong man, nor a helpless dread. It was a peculiar feeling he hadn't known until he returned. Phew, every time I try to come back, they keep asking me to dance one more time. I'm sorry you're there. After dancing with various partners 3 times, Gakane finally returned, wiping the sweat off his forehead, and flopped down in front of Yudhir, gulping down his drink. How is it? The party isn't that bad, right? Yeah, I thought so. Gakane was grinning, started to chatter using the stories he had heard while dancing as the topic. I heard that all the expenses for tonight's party are being covered by the commander. He said that the members needed more time to bond. He's really a remarkable person. Kishir? Yudhir didn't know that. If I think about it, renting out an entire place would have cost a considerable amount of money. It might have been a significant amount for the members, but it probably didn't even tickle Kishir's pocket. Yudhir remembered that during the commander days, he had been asked several times to prepare meals and drinks with his own money to boost the morale of the members. But he only provided the money and was absent for the event, simply because he didn't want to attend. Would the members back then have interpreted Yudhir's intentions positively, like Kishir? He was slightly curious, although it was something he could never know now. Yudhir, do you know how to dance? Just then, ever slightly flushed, appeared and asked. He can't dance. Gakane desperately tried to block in front of the Yudhir, but it was futile against Ever's fingers. With just a light push from her, Gakane was quickly sent flying out beyond the table. Ouch! I wasn't asking you, Gakane. I asked Yudhir. You're so noisy. I know how to dance. As Gakane was being rescued amid the laughter of the other members in the distance, Yudhir spoke. But I don't feel like dancing right now. I prefer just sitting like this. Really? That's a pity. I really enjoy dancing. Ever flashed a smile. When I first arrived here, I thought I'd never again have the chance to dance and converse so freely with someone. But I'm pleased to realize I was wrong. This is all thanks to you, Yudhir. If you hadn't stepped forward back then, we wouldn't have believed we could enjoy ourselves like this now. Yudhir set down the glass he was holding. That's not true. It was true that he had stepped forward in front of the knights, but his motives were not as pure as ever made them out to be. Rather, his actions had been reckless enough to incur resentment from the knights of noble descent, as he had stirred up unnecessary conflict. I didn't have some grand goal in mind when I stepped forward, and even if I hadn't, someone else would have eventually. If my actions helped in some way, that's good, but don't credit it all to me. The reason Yudhir had stepped forward was simple. He felt that at that moment, in that place, the only one who wouldn't hesitate to take the lead was himself. Having already experienced that era once and having grown accustomed to leading as a cavalry commander for nearly a decade, it was no more or no less than that. Now he had no desire to strive for a higher position and was content to live just as one of the members. Still, his time leading them remained within him like an obligation, like a debt. He hadn't appreciated each of them individually before. He thought he could handle everything by himself and was always on guard, exerting walls. But when it came time to die, he finally realized it. Perhaps those who could help Yudhir were not the powerful emperor, the nobles, or even himself, but other beings possessing the same power. No matter what happened, it would have ended up like that. Yes, even without Yudhir, the cavalry members would eventually realize that they were much stronger than the Imperial Knights or the Pole Tower mages. They deserved just compensation and treatment for the work they did for the country. Yudhir's actions were merely an effort to reduce the trials they would have to endure before that future came. In order to correct a misaligned button, he had to straighten out this cavalry first. Those who had been the core of the cavalry and could have been its future were lost too early on due to ignorance and petty discrimination. Furthermore, Commander Kishir, who could have been a much greater asset than Yudhir, died as soon as he established the framework. Even just correcting that could have been a huge help in preventing future disasters. You speak as if you're prophesying. Everett, who had been blinking, soon chuckled. It's not a prophecy, it's a fact. I hope so. I'm still not accustomed to receiving the disdainful looks for daring to set foot in this noble place as a country bumpkin commoner. Someday, I hope I can stand up like you there and reprimand others for looking down on those weaker than themselves. That will happen, Yudhir assured her with confidence. In the future, and in the past, where he had lived, Ever was one of the initial members who worked hard in the cavalry until the end. Her stern demeanor, her unblinking eyes, and her propensity to pursue those who blindly trusted their lineage yet lacked ability was famously known within the cavalry. Now she was smiling and dancing with such much softer expression, but it didn't make her seem any weaker than her future self. What she lacked was only experience. Given time to gain that, she would transform into her future self at any moment. Good, let's drink to that future. Yudhir silently clicked glasses with Ever. Yudhir, have you fully manifested your second gender yet? No, not yet. They call me an alpha, but I still don't really understand what makes me different. In a few more years, openly asking about someone's secondary gender would become impolite, but it wasn't the case yet. The world barely knew about the existence of the alphas and omegas. It was all still novel and liberating. Would this atmosphere last forever? Yudhir swallowed his thoughts with a nod. I see. What exactly is the power of the red stone? It gives us immense power, changes our born gender, and even alters our entire being. Yet we can't see it. I don't even know what it is. Is it really a power bestowed by the sun god, as the priests say? What are you talking about? Just then, Gakane had been pulled away by other comrades, finally returned and sat down next to them. Eva rolled her eyes and opened her mouth. We are discussing whether the power of the red stone is truly a divine power from the sun god. Weren't you curious, or was it just me? Well, I'm curious, but being in the cavalry, won't we eventually find out? Gakani answered, his eyes widening slightly. There are rumors that the cavalry was formed to retrieve and protect the red stones. After all, is that so? Ever sighed. Gakane's words were among the strong rumors that had been circling since the first public notice for cavalry recruitment was issued in the country. Yudir also remembered hearing such rumors from his distant past. In retrospect, the rumor was half true and half false. The red stone that Kishir had retrieved was refined in the Pearl Tower over the course of a year. It was then dubbed the World Spear and was to be enshrined in the deepest part of the sacred forest located north of the capital. Although it was said to be enshrined, it was more akin to be being sealed. One of the main duties of the cavalry was to ensure that no unnecessary people could approach it. Only two people could access that place without anyone's permission. One was the emperor, and the other was Yudhir, the commander of the cavalry. Thinking about it made Yudhir feel a tingling sensation, as if his undamaged mana hole was being pricked. Come to think of it, isn't it about time to retrieve the red stone?